show. Folks, my first guest tonight is a former Trump aide whose new book, Team of Vipers, has been making headlines all month. Please welcome to The Late Show, Cliff Sims. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Congratulations on your... Is this your first book?
First book.
First book?
First and only, probably.
No.
We'll see.
There you go. Here it is. It's a Team of Vipers. That's a hell of a title. You know, it's a little bit of play on Team of Rivals about Lincoln's cabinet.
That's right.
What makes the people around Donald Trump the most viperous?
Whew, it's a good question.
Reptilian.
It's an interesting mix. There's no doubt about that. I think what happened is you had a lot of people thrust together who came in there and kind of had their own best interest in mind.
Rather than the interest of the nation, or rather than the interest of the president?
Well, I think as a staffer, you like to think that those things are congruent, right? That I'm going to serve my nation by serving my president. I think you had a lot of people in the White House who came in, sometimes I was one of them, who got wrapped up in the game. You know, what happens when you have proximity to power, when you have access to the most powerful person on the planet.
Trying to game each other to get closer there and
absolutely.
freeze other people out?
So that's kind of what I wanted to
So are
illustrate.
you one of the vipers?
100%. I mean...
So this is a confession as much it is an accusation. I mean that seriously, because sometimes books can be... Is it a confession as much as it is an accusation?
Well, I think what it is if I'm going to tell the truth, if I'm going to be honest about everybody there, from the president to the staff and everybody else...
And that's a big if in that administration.
I've got to be willing to be honest about myself, too.
Okay.
And so I spent a lot of time in this book talking about things I wish I would have done differently.
What's the most damning thing you say about yourself before we get to these other beautiful laundry lists you've got here?
Right here in front of the nation, all right?
Well, right here in the book. How about that? What is it?
Ruthless. I was a coward. I was self-serving.
Where was your cowardice?
Just that sometimes I didn't speak up when I felt like, you know what, I disagree with this. I wish we were doing something a little bit different here or there. There were a lot of times that I didn't do that. And I would also say that my biggest regret of all was that I was not always a picture of my faith to the people that I was around.
Because you're a committed Christian.
I am, yeah.
Well, let's talk about some of the things you talk about in here. Let's start small, okay?
Okay.
What was your official role in the White House?
I was director of message strategy, which essentially is creating the talking points and messaging that comes out of the White House on anything from, probably the best example would be tax reform. So how are we going to go out and sell the president's tax reform plan to the nation? I was kind of a part of leading the team that did that.
Were you part of the team that said it'll pay for itself within a year? Because that's what we were told, and that, of course, is not, what's the word? True.
Were you
on that? 'Cause that was
I will
a lie.
say, I don't remember that being a part of the official talking points.
Oh, okay, really? Okay, the president reports that he reportedly is hopping mad about your book and that he feels duped. Did you dupe the president of the United States? You worked for him for 500 days. When did you start writing this book? How long before you quit did you start writing this book?
I didn't start writing it until a couple of months after I left.
That's fast writing, buddy.
I did. I wrote it.
He's only been in there for 738 days.
Yep, and I wrote it in about 2 months.
Really?
Yeah, 2 months. And I just sat down, and really it was kind of a cathartic experience because I wanted to not only tell the truth about, you know, here's just an honest assessment about what's going on in there. I'm not trying to convince you to be for him, against it. I give you the facts, you decide for yourself. So, you know, it was also, I wanted to kind of come to terms with what that period of my life meant for me. And so it was a really cathartic experience. And my wife will tell you, I sat on the couch for 2 solid months, didn't do anything else, and just wrote all day, every day. And
what do you think that period of your life, those 500 days, have meant for the nation? I mean, not that you aren't important, but there are 325 million of yous out there who are affected by this man having been elected, something that you were in favor of. Are you still on the Trump train?
Well, I think I'm kind of at this point not being in there anymore. I have the luxury of saying when he's doing things that I support, I'm able to be for it, and when he does things that I don't, then I'm able to be against it. And that's, you know, it's kind of fun to be on the outside and not have to defend every single thing. But in terms of what it means for the nation, I could say it's probably mixed. I mean, I do think that the economic growth that we have seen is great. I do think that he deserves credit for pulling us out of some of these foreign engagements that president after president had promised to do, and we just hadn't. So he's really trying to keep his promises. I think that's something genuine.
Though he hasn't actually done any of them yet. He's announced it without consulting the Pentagon.
Wait,
He hasn't
oh,
actually
rolling
done
back,
any.
rolling
He
back.
actually hasn't done any of it yet.
Yeah.
He's talking a very good game.
Yeah.
And alarming some of the people around him. People like General Mattis quit because of the way he announced that.
Yeah.
Do you think that's still a good way for him to have done it? Do you think that was leadership?
What's that?
The announcement over Syria, let's say, the way that was handled.
Yeah, I think that, you know, one of the things that really frustrated me about the time that I was there is he's been talking about this Syria thing for months and months and months, and wanting to do it and wanting to do it and giving directives to do it and directives to do it. And he's surrounded by some people, even at the highest levels, who make it their mission, it seems to me, to slow walk everything that he's doing, to kind of subvert what he's doing. And some people that don't agree with him would say, well, thank God they're in there.
Right.
I would say to that, what kind of precedent does it set if somehow it's now patriotic to undermine the duly elected president of the United States that you serve? And so as a staffer, you mentioned Mattis, you know, I think it's honorable the way that Jim Mattis quit. And I say that because if you disagree with the guy, you always have an option. You either get on board once he makes a decision and you try to implement what he does,
Right.
or you quit.
Do you think more people should do that? Like Kellyanne Conway, you write about her, you describe her as, you say you caught her leaking, that she was a big leaker. Trump thought she was a big leaker. She had to write something to say, I'm not a big leaker. And what did you catch her doing?
Yeah, so she calls me upstairs to write a response to some show hosts who were saying that off air she was trashing the president. So wanted me to come up and help her craft a response to that. Well, I'm sitting on her laptop, her Apple laptop in her office, trying to type this up, and she forgets that she's sitting at her desk typing on her iPhone, which is synced to her computer. Not good, Stephen, not good. And it's a great lesson for everyone. Nothing accidentally good ever happens from synced iMessages, I will say that.
Sure.
And I'm watching her talk to reporter after reporter and trash her colleagues and even not painting the president in a very favorable light. And basically, I'm supposed to be writing a statement defending her against exactly what she's doing in that very moment.
Why won't he fire her? Why won't he trash her publicly? It makes no sense to me. He'll attack anyone.
Well,
why not her?
One of the things I try to do in this book is help people understand what makes Donald Trump tick. And one of the things that I think is true about Kellyanne and others is one thing that never goes out of style in the Trump White House is someone who's willing to go out on TV and just fight it out with somebody. And he knows that she's a reliable, you know, she will go out there and on any show and defend him. And like I said, that never goes out of style. So I think that's why she's...
So private loyalty doesn't matter, but public loyalty on television is more important.
I think that there's no doubt that public loyalty to the president is of utmost importance to him.
You helped him come up with the enemies list, okay?
Yeah.
And you regret that. Why
Well,
do you regret that?
Number one, I had you at number 2 on the list. So...
Well, listen, we got to go.
Okay.
Congratulations on your book. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Enjoy. You know, there'll be more. There'll be the one that you have to write after you stop being on the run. Team of Vipers is in stores now. Cliff Sims, everybody. We'll be right back with the great Paul Simon.